I have a $30 drawing tablet, zero assistance, and a cracked version of Clip Studio Paint. Please sponsor me still. So I gave myself 7 days to create and publish an entire Webtoon manga from scratch alone, and I'm not an artist. This is genuinely the top 10 worst view ideas on YouTube of all time. What am I even? Now, I'll be publishing this thing on Webtoon, which, if you're new here, is basically the hive of manhwa-style webcomics. And while manga refers to the art style and storytelling, usually black and white and dramatic, Webtoon is the platform where I can actually post this thing and hope someone other than my family reads it. Now, I've attempted this before when I was 15 years of age, multiple times actually. I've had big ideas, even bigger dreams, and school absolutely bodied every single one of them. I had to focus. But I'm 19 now, wiser, art skills have decently improved, and I got 33,000 of you guys on my side. So this time around, it's gonna be different. No, it's not. For the next 7 days, I'll be designing characters, writing a story, drawing panels, and somehow cramming all of my poor art skills and very terrible storytelling into a readable Webtoon manga just to show that's possible. Let's see if I survive. Alright, so I started off by designing some characters before writing the actual story. Was this a smart move? Probably not. But hey, I have to figure out the vibes first and the plot later. These definitely aren't the final designs or anything serious. I was just messing around trying to find the aesthetic and overall vibe I want this manga to have. For a bit of background, I do have a brief history with art and I've lightly practiced it to create my other series. So for all the artists out there watching me draw in this video, please don't be disappointed, bro. I have a very freestyle method of drawing and I don't follow conventional anatomical strategies, so it might make some of you mad. After some loose sketching and a lot of staring at my screen, I landed on a pretty simple design I could build from. Someone with a face that looks like it's seeing way too much, like too much. I imagine him as a quantum computing programmer, which is funny because that's actually something I want to be in real life. So writing him might be actually easier. Spoiler, it's not. I nearly lost my mind trying to explain the science behind the plot later. Anyway, this dude is definitely gonna be the main character. That much I knew, but I still need a name. So I went to the most reliable, the most educated people in the history of mankind, the Teferi Fleet Discord server. I asked you guys for some name ideas and you guys actually came through, except one of them. But shout out to Sabrina for suggesting Gappy. I liked it and it stuck. So boom, Gappy Kaferi, a quantum computing genius on the verge of discovering the dark fate he's unknowingly tied to. Later that day I hung out with my friend and he basically demanded that I make him the main villain, and I simply just said bet. Obviously I'm not using his real name. My friend's pretty ripped, so naturally my main villain has to be ripped too. As I kept sketching, I started to figure out who the real antagonist of the story would be, and I wanted it to be the CIA. Yup, Gappy Kaferi is facing off against the US government. So I gave my villain a full back tattoo because why not? And after some brainstorming, I gave him the name Noah Winter. Cold, calculating, and leading the charge against Gappy's accidental scientific catastrophe. Day 2 was all about writing, like the whole dang story. Start to finish, no more avoiding it, I'm just gonna get right into it. Since I made Gappy a quantum computing genius, I knew I had to test both my art and science brain on this day. So I sat down, stared at the ceiling for a few hours, and started brainstorming hard, very hard. The core concept I ended up building the story around was something called coherence. Now if you're not deep into quantum theory, and honestly that's a very good thing, coherence is when a qubit, basically the building block of quantum computers, maintains its phase relationship. This allows it to stay in superposition, meaning it can be in a 0 and a 1 at the same time. Very wild, I know. If none of that made sense, don't worry. My goal by the end of this manga is to have you accidentally learn quantum theory without realizing it. It's kind of like sneaking spinach or kale into like a smoothie. To keep things focused, I decided the story would explore 4 key quantum concepts: coherence, which I just explained like a nerd; superposition, aka dual state madness; entanglement, think like teleportation but more confusing; and quantum tunneling, which sounds illegal but is very real. Once I nailed down the science, I had to shape it into a story. That's when I brought in the secret weapon, ChatGPT, used very ethically of course, okay? It helped me take all of my scattered ideas and lay them out in a clear chronological order. Seriously, if you use AI right, it's like having a free assistant that doesn't sleep. Now without spoiling too much, the manga is going to be called Decoherence. Our main character, Gappy Kaferi, is a brilliant quantum programmer who manages to solve the issue of decoherence in quantum annealers, which are real-life devices used in optimization of quantum computers. But by fixing it, he basically breaks reality. The CIA finds out, and instantly Gappy discovers his entire world is fake, fabricated, like some kind of simulation. Enter the villain, Noah Winter, the director of the CIA, and an all-around menace. He shows up with his elite task force, the Auroras, 4 agents based on actual names I grabbed from the Teferi Fleet Discord. Huge shout out to the mods for letting me do that. Say it'd be a solid hour of name generation. From there, the story dives into theoretical science, sprinkled with just enough hand-to-hand combat to keep your brain from melting. And I was just hoping that my art skills could keep up with the madness of the story. The next step though, character designs and actual panel drawing. Time is ticking and I really don't have a second to waste, so I just stopped day 2 at there. Day 2 was a win in my eyes. I finally got the one-shot story locked in and something to actually draw to. Now all that's really left is to bring it all to life. I immediately got to work on the character designs of these characters and I was cooking. Now, as you probably have seen by now, I am not the best artist. I am not a baby Van Gogh or something like that, but man, I'm not gonna let that stop me from trying to evolve my drawing skills. The 4 characters that I ended up drawing were actually going to be the main antagonists called the Auroras, which I previously mentioned, which is a reference to a beautiful weather phenomenon called the Aurora Lights. They each will have a unique power related to quantum physics, so as a tribute, each of their last names will have one of the key concepts that I mentioned earlier. First of my 4 antagonists that I designed was MU's superposition, and I wanted them to have powers related to the concept of superposition, obviously. Now they have a blank body because they are always between states of 0 and 1, so nothing is certain about them. By touching you, it will actually make you immediately unstable because you can't exist in 2 places at the same time in a 3rd dimension. The next antagonist I designed was Genesius Tunnel. This guy can use quantum tunneling to go into pocket dimensions at will and appear theoretically anywhere at any time. Next was Steel Entangle, and with quantum entanglement he can swap places with you easily and teleport anywhere with anyone. And finally, the last of them, Ani Coherence, and as you guessed it, he relates to the concept of coherence, and he pretty much is a quantum computer that allows the other 3 to operate at maximum strength with no decoherence issues. And when he's nearby, they can pretty much do anything since the signals on his head is like a Wi-Fi box. Yeah, making these characters so complex may not be the most beneficial for accomplishing drawing and writing a story in 7 days, but we ball. Alright, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been taking a lot of breaks between these so-called daily grind sessions. So on day 4, I finally stopped procrastinating and loaded up the plot and storyboards into a Google Doc. Shout out to ChatGPT for helping me organize everything and make it flow better, because after that, I just got straight to work. There wasn't much else to do at that point. I spent a few hours trying to figure out what art style I actually wanted, how I'll introduce each character, and made a bunch of little tweaks to the story just to make it easier to read. Nothing fancy, but you know, it's something. But something I did notice as I was drawing, if I worked on a panel for too long, my drawings actually started to get really sloppy. Like my lines would slowly devolve into chaos. So yeah, breaks between drawing sessions are very necessary. Learned that the hard way. Making this webtoon, just from an idea to writing to actually drawing it, gave me a whole new level of respect for mangakas and people who make comics. Like bro, this stuff is no joke. Especially if you're a solo one, like that's crazy. But if you have a small team, that's a little bit better. And some of these people, they do this on a weekly and tight deadlines with consistent quality. That's insane. This little 7-day challenge really humbled me, and I realized I might be chopped at drawing, at storytelling, maybe everything, bro. But for real, the main thing that I hope that comes out of this is that you might get inspired, whether to dive into quantum physics or finally start a comic you've been sitting on. Especially if you're an artist with like actual talent, like you should be doing this right now. Well, after you like the video, or I will throw a spirit bomb in your vicinity. Anyways, I really couldn't wait to see how this all would come together. The story was starting to take shape, and I was finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Day 5 came, and this is when I started to introduce the main villains and the serious plot of the webtoon manga. This is also where the drawings got increasingly difficult because everyone has their unique personalities, different stances, flair, powers, you know. Throughout this entire time, I was leaking a bit of the manga to the Patreon and the Discord to see you guys' reaction, and some of you were really liking it and some of you weren't. Not gonna lie, this was hilarious. But it's alright, I had to finish what I started. But looking past the drawings and artwork and stuff, why did I choose quantum physics as a power system? This just made the explanations of what's taking place in the panels so much harder to write and draw. I even got confused myself when writing these concepts and had to go back and fact check myself multiple times. But not to worry, I will make sure all the science is accurate enough. It's only just gonna take a couple hours that I totally have. Day 6 has to be the final day to finish all my drawings and wrap up this webtoon, because day 7 needs to be for promotional work and publishing. And I also want to get some rest, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I really underestimated how hard it is to create a story by yourself and also to be the artist. The amount of burnout solo webtoon creators and mangakas must feel have to be unreal. This video took me nearly a month to make because of the burnout, and I just wanted to use every day wisely for this challenge. So guys, please don't attempt this challenge, I'm not gonna lie. If you want to create a webtoon, take your time and plan everything out. Also, make better drawings than me, because I am by no means an artist, nor do I claim to be. Ending this webtoon was tricky because I didn't want it to be too serious of an ending, but I wanted my main character Gappy to interact with the reader, and I ended up making Gappy use his quantum powers to end the webtoon himself, so breaking the fourth wall. Tell me I didn't cook, man. I'm not even gonna lie, I just wanted to stop drawing because my hands and brain hurt. But before I get into the final day of working on my webtoon manga, I gotta give a quick shout out to this really cool web manga, Relentlessly Bullied Hero, created by one guy, Hero Darky Dark. He personally recently asked me to check this out, and after reading the entire thing, I was honestly blown away. It's about a hero who is essentially trapped into a bonding deal with the villain. Very cool. Like, look at these panels, bro. The art was super clean and the writing was even better. The fact that this was made by such a small team, or basically just him, makes it even crazier. Reading his manga honestly inspired me to keep going, and it shows that solo creators can still make amazing things without massive studios behind them. So if you're into indie manga with real passion behind it, check it out in the description. And while you're at it, Darky Dark is launching another series called Storm Rail Raiders, which already looks super promising. He's running a Kickstarter for it, so definitely go support that if you can. He made a really nice piece of work, and honestly, I'd rather promote good, passionate indie work like this than some of the slop that occasionally shows up on Webtoon. Anyways, just like that, the final day arrived. Spent it carefully drawing the cover art for my webtoon, like really trying to make it look like I didn't just spend the past 6 days losing my mind. Then came publishing. Thankfully, Clip Studio Paint has an automatic webtoon import tool, so that saved me a lot of time from just uploading a bunch of panels one by one. But yeah, day 7, mission complete. I made a whole webtoon. It's up. It's real. And after that, I went and touched grass, because this is probably one of the most time consuming things I've ever done on this channel. Yes, even more than like the 30 anime recommendations. Like low-key, I would rather do another one of those. Now for the moment you all been waiting for. Here's the webtoon, Decoherence in all its glory. I'm just gonna scroll through all these 3 chapters. For you lazy people who refuse to open webtoon in another tab, don't worry, I got you. Also, like the video. Alright, I'm watching you. So yeah, making a webtoon in 7 days definitely cooked my brain. I probably should have taken more breaks during drawing sessions, but whatever, I'm built different. Realistically, if I had more time, the quality might have gone up slightly, but honestly, it wouldn't have been a massive difference as I got other videos to make, man. You know, key takeaway though, never pick up a pencil again, and I'm retiring from art forever. This might be one of the bottom 5 webtoons of all time, but hey, maybe it speaks to one random quantum nerd out there, or a really good artist. For real though, I took a lot of inspiration from early works of the creator of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho. His art wasn't perfect at first either, but the storytelling and passion were there, and it's undeniable. And that's what I want this video to be, proof that you don't have to wait for perfection, you could just start right now. So as I said, if you're a cool artist and you could tell a decent story, just go at it, man. I used a $30 graphics tablet from Amazon and allegedly cracked version of Clip Studio Paint, so no excuses, you know what I mean? I've literally made a whole webtoon on Procreate before too, so if you have an iPad, you're already ahead of me. Major shout out to everyone who watched this far, you are the real MVPs. Extra love to everyone who liked and subscribed to the coolest channel on YouTube. I'm referring to myself. We can all agree I'm in the top 5. And big shout out to everyone on Patreon. They saw most of this early, so they are in fact a quantum entanglement time traveler. That's it for today though, but trust me, there's more wild stuff coming soon. But yeah, hopefully this video inspired you, and have a great week.